John Morehouse with Fightful.com, here with a man who has recently returned to action, former Ring of Honor World Champion, former IWGP Intercontinental Champion, Michael Elgin. And this is, I believe, we're here in Kingsport, Tennessee, NWA Smoky Mountain, and I believe this is your first really weekend back in action since that injury in Japan, right?
Yeah. Last night was my first match, and tonight's my second in about 2 months.
Yeah. I guess you broke your orbital bone, right? That was the actual injury, and then uh, I know I read and heard other places you had maybe some complications that delayed the return from that even further.
Yeah. So they took a bone graft from my hip to place underneath my orbital, and the hip started acting up. So I actually had a second surgery on my hip about 3.5 weeks ago.
So, other than that, how much did that delay as far as working out and that kind of thing, and trying to maintain shape with your hip? The eye, I guess you could still lift weights, cardio, that kind of thing. But when you mess with the hip,
Yeah. So I was told to wait 3 weeks for the initial surgery, which was the hip and the eye too. But then when the hip started acting up, I was told to wait another 4 weeks. And so in total, I was out almost 2 months completely from working out or anything. We're sitting here December 10th right now,
Yeah.
and I had my first workout last Sunday. So what was that? The 3rd?
yeah,
So from October 10th to December 3rd, I did not have a single workout in our cardio or anything. So it was a tough almost 2 months of sitting around and doing
yeah,
that.
yeah. I was going to say, imagine that was incredibly frustrating.
Yeah, when you're so used to working out twice a day, sometimes 7 days a week, depending on the schedule, it really kind of just puts a null in your day, and you kind of try to find something to do to fill that null. And in that process, I started a wrestling company. That's how bored I was for 2 months. So, man,
You inflict all that misery on yourself.
yeah, but it's been going well so far. We haven't had the show yet, but the support has been tremendous. So I'm giving a place for guys that I think need more eyes on them or deserve more eyes on them, and giving my students an extra place to work. So all in all, I'm happy that something good came of such a crappy situation.
And it's a very tradition-rich area, for Kansas City. You go back Central States and all of that, all the way back to those days.
Yeah, and that's part of the thing I'm trying to bring back. I find people try to reinvent the wheel rather than change the look of the wheel. And I still want to change the look of the wheel, but also make sure it's still a wheel.
Right.
And there's a lot of tradition there that has kind of been overpassed and not taken into consideration with promotions that run. And I hope to bring that back to the St. Louis area. And really, there's certain areas you learn about, like fans from all over fly to PWG, and fans from all over fly to AAW now. And there's certain promotions that get a rep, and although I'm not really putting out the money that either of those promotions do, I want to put out a successful company where you get to see matches you would never see, and get to get your eyes on talent that you didn't really know was out there, but are so good that you need to know that's out there. And I want it to be a destination for wrestling fans to at least drive into, and really pay attention to the scene.
Is it just you, the promoter, or do you have any like partners or anything like that?
It's all me. My students
All
will
you.
help me get posters out and stuff like that, but anything that goes on in the shows was my idea, and any money that goes in the shows is mine. So it needs to succeed for me to run it, and I want to continue to run it. So I think that's the best thing to do, because I find that the more partners you get into it, the more money backers you get into it.
Sure.
You don't put as much thought into it because you really have nothing at stake. So once you have something at stake, you want it to succeed, and you really need it to succeed.
So I was going to give you a chance to plug at the end, but we're talking about it now. How can people keep up with Glory Pro? I know you have a YouTube channel as far as like watching the shows, watching matches, that kind of thing.
Well, we plan to release one match from each show on YouTube to get a taste of the product we're putting out. Our DVDs are going to be available as well as like downloads on Smart Mark Video. And if you follow online, either follow my personal account at MichaelGan25 or at Glory Pro 2017, and all the info goes out through both.
Even with the injury, I mean, it was a big year for you. The full contract with New Japan, you won the Intercontinental title, and I think the first ladder match ever in New Japan. And I'm sure the injury, while it was frustrating, how do you feel about the way this year went for you, injury aside?
Injury aside, it was definitely, the most successful year in my career. And without sounding egotistical or cocky, I think this was the year that everything that I thought about myself, now fans see it. And that means a lot, because without fans that support me and support wrestling as a whole, we can't do this for a living. We can't do this even just as a weekend hobby. If people aren't following, aren't supporting, and we can no longer do that. So the year was successful for me in so many aspects, and I'm just happy that I've been able to put a new light on me and garner the following that I do.
And just the reaction, when I watch some of your matches in New Japan compared to, I don't want to slight American fans, but the way that the fans in New Japan react to some of the power spots you do and that kind of thing, there's got to be a good bit of validation in that for you to hear some of the reactions, to some of the things that you do over there.
Yeah,
because it's a different it's a different crowd. They react different ways.
And why I think that is because nobody's trying to be anybody else over there. I'm Michael Elgin, and that is special over there. Tanahashi is Tanahashi, and that's special over there. Naito is Naito, and that's special over there. Okay, and I can go on and on and on. Here, people might have seen a spot of mine because there's somebody out there who's a bigger guy that believes that they can do exactly what I do, exactly how I do it. So they've seen a version of what I do, and it doesn't garner the same reaction. I still feel it gets a reaction because I feel that at my point in my career, I've been in wrestling for 16 years, been actively having matches for 14 years. I know how to put a spin on something, so when you see it, that's Michael Elgin doing it.
Yeah.
But as you said, there's a little bit of a better reaction, I would say, in Japan. And I think it's because I do my stuff over there and nobody else does because nobody has to because they know who they are as a wrestler.
Yeah.
And I think as a whole with pro wrestling, that's kind of one of the things that's missing in the States. And maybe that's why some places have a problem garner a following, or even a wrestler has a problem garner a following because they're just imitating somebody rather than trying to find themselves. And
yeah.
I think that that's really helped me being in Japan is, I always knew who I wanted to be and who I was, but now people get to see it in such a different light because, as I said, everybody else knows who they are, too.
New Japan, they're gearing up, of course, for Wrestle Kingdom. World Tag League Finals were earlier today or tonight, however you want to describe that. I don't know if you can say anything. Can we expect to see Michael Elgin on the Wrestle Kingdom card?
I'm not certain, to be honest.
Okay.
I have told New Japan that I'm cleared, and that was the whole plan, was to hopefully return for Wrestle Kingdom. I'm not sure. I'm almost 100% positive I'll at least be there. I don't know in what capacity. I don't know what I'd be doing. But I would assume that they would want me there, that I'm cleared. But maybe, this injury kind of delayed it, and they would have to start me after Wrestle Kingdom just because everything's set in motion.
Sure.
And kind of me being out maybe affected what I was originally supposed to do. So I'm really not certain what the outcome's going to be.
You were with Ring of Honor, I guess, full-time. And, of course, New Japan and Ring of Honor have the working relationship. Any Ring of Honor stuff for you in the immediate future?
No, you know what? I reached out to them about January 14th. Because I know I have that weekend open, and they never responded after saying that I would be on all the shows that they do in the States when I'm home. And maybe they're just taking their time, but I've already filled that date now.
Yeah.
So I'm not waiting for them. I'm a New Japan talent, and I'm going to do whatever's good for my career. And I believe that I'll be at Wrestle Circus in Texas now on that date, and they have a great following. And fans are really supporting them, so I want to be a part of that. One, to try to help get maybe some fans of mine that aren't familiar with Wrestle Circus, familiar with Wrestle Circus, and get them some more following.
So they didn't even say no, they just didn't respond at all.
I mean, don't get me wrong, they had Final Battle last
Sure.
weekend.
Yeah,
So I'm sure they're busy. They might respond next week, but
Okay.
now I've already filled it because I've announced that I had that date open.
Sure.
Found out that they had a date and reached out, and
You gotta
I
go with what's there.
I do this for a living. I support my family off of pro wrestling, and yes, I'm very fortunate to be in the position I am with New Japan and be under contract to them. But a family, costs money.
They do.
And I want to make sure that they can live a life that I never got to live. So I never want them to go without. So I'm going to try to work as often as possible and make sure I can support them.
Tonight we're at a show. It took you a while. It took you several years to really kind of get your big opportunity and find your niche and get to the position you are now.
Yes.
You're in a locker room with a lot of guys who are in a similar situation that maybe you were in 6 to 8 years ago. So, and there's a lot of wrestlers out there. And now it seems like these days, with the Cruiserweight Classic and all these deals, everybody's got deals. It seems like there's more opportunities, more spots are opening up. So what advice would you give to, the independent wrestlers out there as far as maximizing these opportunities?
Well, I'm going to say that how many people would you think is on this card?
At least 20, I would think.
I ran a seminar today, and 7 people came to it. So I'm at the spot I'm at because I took every chance I could to learn. It wasn't very pricey. It was $20 to do the seminar. They're making at least $20 tonight. It's worth it. And 7 out of 20, and some of those people weren't even on the show. They came here specifically to do the seminar because they felt I could help them understand wrestling in a different light. I just held a camp this week, and I'll tell you the difference I saw in the guys who took part in the camp in 5 days was unbelievable. To the point where they came in as, okay, this is a good wrestler. I could put him in the opening match too. Holy shit, you could be in the main event against anybody I brought in, and you would not look out of place. Because wrestling, it sounds so weird, but the little things that make a pro wrestler, a great pro wrestler, are all little things. It's just little things sprinkled throughout. And unfortunately, we're in a place and time with wrestling where there's not a lot of teachers out there that focus on those things. With seminars, I often get people who have training, who have been wrestling for a while, and that's all I have to focus on because they know how to take a bump. They know how to do a move, no matter what move it is. So little things are going to help them, and they, as you said, at least in your, I think there might be more than 20 that I said.
There probably are.
But let's say there is 20 and 7 people took my seminar. I know 2 of those people are not on the show, so that makes 5 people out of 20, which means 15 people missed the opportunity to learn for $20. There's not many things in this world you can buy for $20. There's definitely not a lot of knowledge you can buy for $20 that they missed out on. So it's almost disappointing because I know if I was in their position, and I know because I've done it. I've been at a lower aspect of my career, and a Samoa Joe is on a show, and his seminar cost me $40 or $50, and Bobby Roode or Scott D'Amore or a Low Key. Or Davey Richards before I got to be working with him in Ring of Honor. They were upwards of $50 sometimes. And you know what? I was making $30 on the shows. So I had to pay $20 out of my pocket plus the $30 just to take part in it because I wanted to perfect my craft, and that's how you get better. So as shitty as it is to say, and I don't mean to sound like a dick, and if they feel like I can't teach them anything, well, I'm sorry that they feel that way because they could probably teach me something too. $20 is not a lot of money, and I'm kind of disappointed that more people on the show didn't take advantage of me being here to be able to speak with me.
Fair enough. How can people keep up with you and with Glory Pro, social media, anything you'd like to plug? Now is your chance.
Well, as I said, my Twitter's at MichaelElgin25. Glory Pros is at GloryPro 2017. And if you're not a fan of me, all I ask is that you support wrestling, whether it be NWA Smoky Mountain, whether it be Ring of Honor, PWG, Evolve, whatever local shows in your neighborhood. Please just support wrestling, as I said, because it gives guys like me or other guys that are on the show an opportunity to get better and an opportunity to be front of fans and do what they love. So if you support pro wrestling, you're supporting me as a whole, and that's really all that matters.